everybody. We have something a little bit different than we normally do today. We're doing a little video teleconference here with Nathan from Faxon. One of the reasons we're doing that is because for those that don't follow me on social media, I kind of updated the test as we went along, and I sent the barrels in after the accuracy portion. I sent them back to Faxon. Unfortunately, we lost. We didn't lose. FedEx lost the barrels in shipping, and basically they never got there. We were waiting for a resolution, and as I understand it, anyway, they sent the claim form saying it was lost. Essentially, correct?
That is correct. They decided that our $1,000 worth of test was worth $100.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So that's where we're at now. And then basically we don't have the barrels, which is obviously unfortunate. But I want to
Indeed.
go over basically what we saw in the test with somebody who has a little bit more subject matter expertise on the matter than I do. And then also Nathan took one of the barrels, at least let me correct that, took a very similar barrel to what we used in the test and fired 1,000 rounds on full auto through it and has that
Mhm.
with him. So we'll discuss that as well. But go ahead.
Mhm. No, and yep. To emphasize, we had an unfortunate incident with FedEx, and if anybody ever wants a rousing story, ask when we tried to actually get some of the parts into the test too. So
Yeah.
FedEx, I think, is on both of our naughty lists. But what Faxon did, because we wanted to get the best content we could with Mike and everybody, was try and replicate the test as best we could. So we took another rifle, this time with all of our components, the same lower receiver, etc., and went out and put another 1,000 rounds through that, which is roughly what the duty cycle that everybody had seen. So the objective was to try and get the best information we could to everybody, despite those irreplaceable objects being lost forever to the FedEx abyss.
Sure. Yeah. So a couple things I just wanted to go over first is obviously I'm sure you've read the comments that you responding in the three different videos we went over. One thing I want to get out of the way first is the malfunction rate, our stoppage rate that
Mhm.
we had, and I'm just going to describe the malfunction. I honestly didn't do it there in the video as well as I should have because I was trying to just fire rapidly. So basically, what was happening with that malfunction was that there was a round not being fully extracted or ejected. I guess depending on how you look at it, and then another round trying to go in the chamber. So it was sort of a double feed, but one of the rounds was halfway out of the
Mhm.
receiver. That was probably 90% of those malfunctions we had. So just to clarify, that is what we were looking at when I was looking
Mhm.
at it. You can see it pretty close during portions of the video, but I think people were watching on their cell phone or whatever and couldn't see it all that well. And I got a lot of
Yep.
questions. Type of malfunction that we mostly got, that
Yep.
was
It was a good old fashioned. Gun was running at that point extremely fast, and the ejector, which by the way, in case anybody is curious, on Faxon's bulk carrier groups, we are using all of the mil spec components, and we can verify that if anybody's really curious. But you're just outrunning what a sprung ejector can do in an AR-15 with that bolt carrier velocity. Primarily, is it's good old fashioned. It's a gas port diameter, and people are always wondering, hey, what do you set it at? Well, Faxon, I believe, is for 82 off the top of our head, which is ideal for general purpose ammunition so that guys can get things to work with, well, let's be honest, Tula. So when we're using full blown 5.56 and shooting that full auto, when you combine that with the heat and the temperature, that's what led to the malfunctions that people were seeing. So, if in case anybody's curious, that's exactly what happened. And so that's something that actually we replicated when we went out and we shot our barrels. So, if anybody does ask, why do we set our gas ports? We actually publish that on our website, exactly how we get about to our gas port diameters. And hopefully that works for just about everybody. And I don't think anybody's doing 1,000 rounds straight ever outside of us.
sure. One thing to point out as well on that is if you guys want to see how they normally eject and extract in terms of pattern wise, check out the
Mhm.
first video where I do the baseline accuracy test. So you can see that throughout that video where they're just operating under normal conditions. You can also see if you watch the full auto videos, you can see the
Mhm.
direction and sort of the rate of it change as the gun starts to go up. I actually, over at the NRA show, went and talked to the chief engineer, I forget his name, at Geisley, which I apologize if he's watching. And we basically went over all the different possibilities. And again, he's their head engineer. and
Hmm.
even he was having to hypothesize certain things because there's so many variables in the AR system, and
Yep.
AR is such a timing monster. It's very timing dependent. That he was throwing out different things, and obviously lots of you have thrown out different things in the comment section. But at this point,
Yep.
um, my best guess is exactly what Nathan just said. But you know,
The gun ran fast, which is a combination of how hot it was, the ammunition, the gas port Faxon uses, and all the components that were inside that gun. And when you use a nitrided carrier, it's slicker than manganese phosphate as it's going through a system. So all those different things add up into what somebody saw. And you know, we wanted Mike to publish that. We're not afraid to go, okay, that's what actually happened. Everybody, we believe is intelligent and can create their own judgments based off of what they saw, and hopefully show that the barrels held up. And sadly we couldn't show that in the detail that we wanted to, but you did get a chance to shoot them afterwards and show what the accuracy of the systems were.
absolutely. And in that video, the accuracy video after that, I was using the exact same bolt carrier groups as well. Which, if you guys watched the video and saw the parts where um, one of them, I can't remember offhand which one, but one of them had the O-ring get so hot it just kind of crumbled.
Yeah, Vuitton can't take quite that heat.
No reason why it would be designed to really. And then the other one was sort of flattened. So even with all that, those guns actually had no malfunction, which was I was personally surprised by because I thought that the extractor tension was going to cause some issues that didn't. Take
Mhm.
it for what it's worth. So what did you see from the? Let me back up. Which barrel did you use during your 1,000 round test? Where you sort of tried to duplicate everything?
So we had a nitride barrel on hand to be able to do that portion of the test. And we went through basically the exact same procedure that Mike did. We went out and we shot it, got a baseline grouping, shot it 1,000 rounds, which, in case anybody's curious, we were using Freedom Munitions 55 grain reman for when Faxon tested. We didn't quite have the American Eagle just sitting there ready to go. And proceeded to just, well, make a lot of noise on an indoor range that day. So
And how did they group afterwards?
almost exactly the same. So you saw with your match ammunition about a 10-11% increase in the base groupings. That's about what we saw as well with that ammunition.
Okay.
So
So one thing a lot of viewers wanted to know, for those that don't follow me on Facebook, I posted up there just some questions you guys wanted me to ask Faxon during this video, and one of them was just sort of to explain the accuracy that we saw in the video, the follow-up video. So if you could, Nathan, any thoughts on that?
okay, so trying not to go deep into the tech weeds because I've been known to do that once or twice. You have a significant difference between the base barrels and coating versus nitride, or chrome, which is a coating, versus nitride, which is a treatment to the base steel. So what you're seeing is in the base accuracy, the nitride won by just a hair, which is exactly what Faxon expected. That mirrors all of our testing, because you're taking the base accuracy of the barrel and you're sealing it in. Whereas chrome, you're going to remove material in the case of the process we use, which is an electropolish, and then you're going to re-chrome in that material that was lost. So you're going to lose some of that base accuracy of the bore, and even if you don't do electropolish, you're going to coat the base accuracy of the bore. So you're going to lose just a hair, and that's perfectly normal. And if anybody says, "Hey, my chrome line barrel can't," or shoots a minute of angle, I believe you. I mean, as you saw in the videos, you had a couple groups with our barrels that were doing that too, and a lot of people have a lot of experience putting chrome in the barrels. So, in terms of the final accuracy for the barrels, what you saw was the difference in how the barrels erode. So it's really hard to do in 1,000 rounds. When you start talking about the long-term performance of the parts, chrome and 4150. Sorry, I'm getting into materials too. But chrome likes to have a gradual expansion of accuracy through the end of life of a barrel. So it will slowly wear. You'll see it slowly increase until you go, hey, that accuracy is not good enough for me. Nitride tends to do, I'm going to keep very, very close to that baseline accuracy. And then when I hit the point that I'm going out, boom, you're going to keyholes. So it's a little bit different in how the materials wear, but chrome's going to give you slightly better longevity for, military full auto performance. You're going to get more consistent groups when you're looking at 5, 7, 10,000 rounds versus the 1,000 that we shot.
Sure. Just looking through the questions here, offhand
Hmm.
to my left. Do I think of anything we want to discuss about this particular test. Is there anything you want to add to it before we get into just a couple other random questions?
Um,
Okay. Guess no.
no, I think we owe the AK guy and a couple of the other guys a serious shout out for unloading all of the preloaded magazines and reloading all of the magazines as we went through that day.
That's true.
Thanks, guys.
For those that I guess didn't follow Instagram posts and stuff, Guns Daily and the AK guy, Black Wolf were out there helping us load all those mags, and it was funnier off camera than it probably would have been on. One question I got here, which I think is a good one on barrel
Yeah.
material, is referencing, for those that didn't see it, a Rack Veteran 888 did a video with a stainless steel barrel, which was similar
Yeah.
to that. And basically, this viewer here, Garrett, is asking why that barrel essentially failed in a very different way. So,
hmm
didn't see it, the steel barrel, I believe, ruptured. Is that correct?
That's correct, and that is exactly what happened. In the other test, uh, the barrel failed catastrophically, and you know what? That's exactly what that barrel should have done under those circumstances. And we always get a lot of people who go with Eric's videos, and they go, "Wow, that gun lasted longer." Well, it's really important for people to understand the variables that were present when Eric was shooting his gun. So he was using a government profile stainless steel barrel. So meaning it was quite a bit thinner than the profiles that Mike and I were shooting. Mike was shooting, pardon me, that day, and he was using bimetal jacket bullets, which have significantly more abrasion inside the bore, which means they erode the barrel faster and they heat up the barrel slightly faster depending on the powder content. And he was shooting 65 70 rounder magazines versus what we did, which was 100% 30 rounders, kind of a pseudo mil spec, having fun and trying to show you a more practical style. So what ends up happening is stainless does not react to heat the same way that regular steel does. Stainless does not transfer heat as well to the air. So by the time you throw in the thinner profile, which means less surface area to exhaust heat, less material to take heat, the firing cycle and the duty cycle that weapon went through, it failed at the thinnest portion of the barrel. Because remember, a government profile will get skinny just before it expands back out for the gas block. And believe it or not, government profile is rather stupid. We said it
Viewers
in
alert.
the.
I said that many times.
I mean, ignoring the weight, they get really skinny. Actually, the hottest portion of the barrel is about 3 inches in front of the chamber, where you have the vast majority of that combustion. So it got hot at the thinnest point, and it failed, and it did exactly what it should have. It should have, under the test that he was going through, the gas tube should have failed, but he was using a special gas tube, which really held up a lot better than Vaxxon expected. So,
Sure. Yeah, no normal conditions like you guys saw with the chrome line barrel. I tested the gas tube ruptures, and that's by design. So
mhm,
I also mentioned that many of the viewers were asking why I didn't use a nitride or melanated gas tube, like I don't know, like
mhm,
spike things, for example. I have a couple and they work well. The
mhm,
reason is it's a design failure point, and it's
yep,
literally part of the weapons design system too. So that way you can at least have a single shot rifle rather than one with a ruptured barrel. That is by design. So that's why I did it. And I was also trying to stick to sort of mil spec parts. Like I said, that was a
yep,
cool gas tube that we were using. Um,
mhm.
okay. Just a couple other questions while I have you here. I figure I'll pick your brain if you don't mind. Uh,
Sure.
Faxon's asked, or correction, Stephen is asking if Faxon is going to make 6.5 Grendel barrels.
Stay tuned. You don't have to wait long.
Gotcha. Next
So,
one up. Any plans for doing 223 Wild?
yep.
Me on that pronunciation if I'm saying it wrong. So I'm saying I don't know.
All right. So we get that question a lot. And the base answer to that question is you will see Faxon put out a 223 wild chambered barrel when we feel that we have perfected the other 10 things that make a barrel accurate in front of the chamber. And a lot of people see, oh, I really want that 223 wild. Well, if the bore is not right, the crown's not right, the profile isn't correct, it's not concentric, you're going to have a bad barrel. And so people just kind of gravitate towards that specification because, hey, it sounds cool. we haven't done that because 223 Wild is a slightly tighter chamber than 556 NATO. So our perspective was we're going to do maximum safety for the shooter while providing the best barrel we possibly can. And people see, we generally expect sub-minute of angle on all of our barrels. It's what Mr. Guns Gear has tested on. You've got probably 20 of our barrels now.
Yeah, probably seriously, probably 8, 7 or 8.
Okay, all right, we'll get you a few more. We got a few new ones too. These 308 pencils are kind of fun, but
So,
for us, I want to make sure that customers are absolutely safe first. So until we get to the point that we feel that, hey, the chamber is going to help accuracy on top of everything else, you're not going to see us do it. But I will say you're not going to be waiting much longer for that either. So.
And just to go back to one of my earlier videos, I think I mentioned that during the air barrel material. My take on it was, as not a expert, but a guy who shoots a lot of guns and different guns, is that there's, like he said, there's I think 7 other components that go into it, but however many they are, the quality and QC process that the barrel goes through is infinitely more important than the chamber specification. Like for people who watch my channel, you guys have seen 556 barrels that I can't get to group under 2.5 inches, and you guys have also seen 556 barrels that I've shot, 3/4 and lower of an inch groups, 5 shot. So there's a lot more that goes into it than just chamber specs. Of course, if you're looking for absolutely to shoot the aspirin out 100 yards, then maybe I'm serious. Some guys that's what they want. So if that's it, then well, I guess like he said, just wait a little bit. So all right. So here's one for you. I actually answered it, but they said, "What's the best twist rate?" And with that, I will say to you, how do you guys go about picking your twist rates?
Ooh, good question. So our philosophy, and this will be different for everybody, is that we wanted to create a barrel that met the needs of the everyday shooter first and foremost. We didn't go out and say, "Thou shalt be mil spec," well, because mil spec is 35 years old. We can do better than that these days. Uh, so our mentality was, okay, what can I do that's going to provide the best results across the ammunition that people are generally shooting on a daily basis? And the answer to that question is most of the time people are shooting 55 and 62 grains, for the vast majority of rounds that are going through their guns. And then you'll see 77s and 69s and the others. So our thinking was, okay, I'm going to make sure that those are taken care of, and I want to be able to fully stabilize and still get the accuracy potential out of the heavier rounds. So Faxon opted to take 1 and 8. So that way guys can still shoot 40 grain varminter as well as 79 grain, or 77 grain, pardon me, 77 grain and 69 grain for your match and your 3-gun and your long range stages, all through the same part.
Awesome. All right. I think we got pretty much all the big ones I wanted to hit. There's some guys asking questions that are very odd, but here's one actually, because I mentioned this in one of my earlier reviews that was probably 2 years ago of your ARAC 21. Any plans on the ARAC 31?
So we had to put that one on hold for a little bit, sadly, because I promise you, we really like the big bores too. The primary reason has been the ARAC 21 has still been just selling like bonkers. And so the same machines that would make the 31 are dedicated to getting the 21 caught up. So that's the first objective for Faxon is I want to get those machines ahead on ARAC 21 production, and we want to get, and we saw a couple guys asking here in the questions, you will see new parts and new things for the 21 this year. So we just had to stop, buckle down, and get her done, and get this, the production gun done before we started playing with even more parts.
Gotcha. I think that will pretty much do it for questions. We hit all the big ones besides guys joking around in the comments section, I think. One thing I want to do though is just kind of like let everyone know how this process went around. I actually approached several different companies back basically a year and a half ago at this point to do this similar process because I don't have an SOT to be able to fire full auto over a company to come down and actually do it and let the results speak for themselves. And Faxon was one of the ones that even this is well pre-election when guns were selling out like crazy, and people were like, "I'm not going to allocate a barrel to that." Like, so so I'm serious. So Faxon was on board with that, and as you guys saw, we didn't sugarcoat anything. It was what it was, and they were okay
Hmm.
with that. So I definitely appreciate Faxon being willing to do that. That's something a lot of people don't do. Also, like people said in the comment section, being willing to publish port sizes, barrel materials, specs, how you guys treat things, like in terms of material processes, getting that
Yep.
information out to the viewer is something I truly appreciate because it's one thing I try to do here during my videos. You know what I'm talking about? Barrels,
Yes.
kind of going through my known details, and I know a lot of you guys fast forward through it, but I think it's important to get that information out to people. So I definitely appreciate Faxon doing that. So um,
Well,
go
if
ahead.
I may, we also wanted to thank you for taking the time to go about that, especially in the way the day evolved, which was certainly interesting. Um, but I think what people should somebody took the time and their personal risk, their personal fortune to go and test that, which is something a lot of people aren't willing to do, and to try and turn it into a legitimate test. I think what is so disappointing about what happened is what Faxon had tried to do is we actually from when people first heard about NARFCOM, when we committed to it, Faxon actually ran barrels from the exact same lot, the exact same batch, and we sent a few out to Chrome, we sent a few out to nitride, back to back, so that we were trying to give people the best information possible. So when those were lost, those truly were lost, and we didn't have any replacements for them, which is terribly disappointing. But that's the level of test that Mike insisted for everybody to go, hey, let's make this the most valuable piece of information possible. And that's, we were happy to be on board and really enjoyed doing it.
All right. Well, I think I'm going to end it there. Thanks everybody for watching. As always, thanks to Nate. Thanks for coming on board. It's kind of late right now, and he's taking his own personal time, so I appreciate that. And we'll end it there. Who knows? Down the road, I'm sure you guys will see more facts and barrels and stuff like that here on the channel. I've seen them. So that's about it. Thanks, Nathan. Thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.
Bye, guys.